Hi, I'm Cathy Sherwood. It's April 5th, 2008. And we're at the Unitarian Church on Buffalo Street in Ithaca.
Great.
The beginning of spring.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Cathy, do you remember when you first heard about the peace encampment?
Well, I do remember stories. Only that it existed, even because I'm from Campbell. It wasn't oblivious to us that because that's almost local news so I remember hearing about it when I was growing up, but nothing that was specific, just that, not that I could remember anything specific, but pretty young, But, because I'm positive it wasn't before I got to Ithaca, for sure.
Once
knowing of it.
Do you remember what year you actually went to the peace camp?
You know what, I've been thinking about that a lot, and I'm pretty sure my son was 8, and he's 23, 15 years ago, I think. I'm pretty sure it's right around there. Whatever that date is, don't make me do the math.
Right. Can you remember what precipitated your coming out there? Who you came with?
Oh, I think it probably came a lot with the music. The circle of music actually happened. Because at the time, meeting women at the common ground that were playing drums and instruments, and I think getting along with that, but I think the music actually started all that, really.
Wow.
And then, art stuff, too. Cool, because they're all, every single person that I've met through the Peace Camp has an amazing creativity in some sort of way. So I think it was really a lot of creative stuff that really took me there.
And so when you said the music, you knew women who were making music out there, they were going out there?
Well, knowing people at the common ground being introduced, mainly I think there, where you knew you were here playing music with them, but it was, I think, pretty much at that point the same group of women that were associated with the Peace Camp. So, same.
Do you remember who some of the musicians were?
I do.
Was
Z.
Okay, Z.
Because I came out to the cabin because of the music, in that kind of art association, and
right.
And I think that was, and then went to the Peace Camp, and it was the same group of women, playing music and being creative and, building things and, being, I would say innovative for groups of women to get together, for me. But, so yeah, and, there was Kat, Aurora, you, all, and Z, and the Burns sisters.
Right.
Right. So it was the music definitely is my.
I hadn't realized that.
Yeah, and it took me 2 weeks to go. It was. I got my own drums, but yeah, it was the music. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what your first time out there was like? Was Lucas with you?
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. It was a room full of women, acting like it was the extended family in a teepee. The women are there, staying home, taking care of the kids, and the guys are somewhere else or something, that's really the feeling I got there. Yeah. And it was the first time I'd ever experienced that camaraderie. with a group of women. Other than like a softball field, it was so different. It was so the extended family that I didn't certainly have. I mean, we do, but we did not live together, so yeah, that was my first experience going, wow, this is different.
Do you remember any of the kinds of things that were talked about, or?
Well, it was a lot of, I think, it was definitely, how are we going to keep maintaining this property, and how can we break it up as far as chores, and yeah, it was definitely mostly about the property, and the house, and the upkeep, and these laws even we were talking about. We have to have this because they say we do, or we don't, but yeah. But it was, it's mainly it. And art stuff, how do we get people together, to get the good done. So.
What was your understanding of that place before you got out there? What did you know about it?
I can look now and say, and I only because of I remember very specifically things were happening there, but in the same kind of realm as you would think of Woodstock if you're a kid, it's unknown, first of all, and it's different, but as, and it really was like I was probably 13, 10, those kind of times, but you knew, more importantly, I knew the Army Depot was there, and the only reason you hear about the Women's Peace Camp at that time was the initial resistance of that whole surrounding. So, yeah,
So you knew from just hearing things that there was the base, and then there was this.
Yeah, but we live over there. That's where I grew up. So it's not like we didn't pass it a lot either. My parents didn't live work very far from the Army Depot. So it's a territory we traveled a lot. So, and you look over and say, there, white deer, did you see them? And that was a common occurrence for us. But so it wasn't just out there. It's part of our neighborhood. It was in my mind, what was out there was like, oh, wow, somebody's trying to do something. It's women, which was in my family, my total beautiful work in the factory, big family. It was like something that was, they were probably not doing right, those women, but it was heard of, yeah.
Where was your family located at that time?
We're just outside of Corning, Campbell, between Corning and Bath. They traveled to Hammondsport, but we did a lot of camping. We have relatives up the lake, that kind of thing. So it was pretty regularly that we
were in that area.
Yeah. It's a beautiful area. It's a very beautiful area. Used to be a lot of picnic places around there, so we were big on picnicking.
Once you got out there, Cathy, did you have a desire to participate?
Definitely. It was without a doubt. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard not to. It's something you can help with, in whatever way it is, Even sometimes just being there and taking out the trash at a certain time is, whether it's all you can do or, yeah.
Were women living there at the time?
There were a few, and that's, I guess, yeah. Because I remember Ann lived there, I think. And I'm so sorry, I don't remember the woman's name that I believe she had 2 kids. She was tall. Kiara, right. And those are the only 2 I remember really living there at the time. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sorry. Right, and Estelle was. Yeah. And, yeah. because I didn't know you
No.
out from the cabin, you weren't there, yeah. Right, that was very interesting, yeah, that's right, and Estelle, yeah.
Right,
Yeah, that was great.
because that's where we met,
Yeah,
was at the
yeah,
encampment.
that's right. I thought I knew you my whole life. Estelle.
Yeah, we have known.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of the kinds of any specific projects that you worked on? Did we do any actions at that time?
Now, let's see, what was the action that we were working on? I couldn't actually give you any kind of specific about that. Things at the Peace Camp were, though, just to make it a definitely much more quality of living place, you know. And some outdoor, you know, there were things, you know, trying to, you know, there were a lot of nice outbuildings that could have been really useful, and that's another thing that I remember seeing if we could. But no, you know, as far as action goes, I probably kind of swayed out of it enough to get really involved in. But there was, I can't remember what
You might have done Mother's Day or something like that.
But there
Very
was
simple.
Yeah.
What I remember a lot about us talking about floors and
That was the outbuildings. Yeah. I thought it would be nice to have a slab wood with simple cement, you know, wood cement floor, you know, it's on the premises, you know, cheap and good looking, and
slabs of cut trees.
Slices of wood just tiled on the floor, right? Plus insulation,
Right, because you were wanting to. Were you still in Bluefield, or you?
I had moved to Ludlowville, I think.
To the barn?
No, that's quite a ways later.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I lived in Ludlowville at the time, just down below Lansing, there, behind high schools. I had just moved to Ithaca from Elmira, actually. So, yeah.
So at that time, we were kind of in a transition. We were trying to start the first intentional.
Definitely was.
Community.
It definitely was.
What
Yeah.
did you know about that at the time?
About
This transition?
not a whole lot, you know, only that it was happening. That, you know, I guess who was going to live there, right? And who you were really getting right. You were right in the very beginning of, like, how do you even form the questions? What questions should there be to find out even who lives there? But you were all in that. You were definitely in, you know, formatting the whole. How do you even figure it out? You know.
Right.
So that, I think we were kind of brainstorming on that kind of.
Right.
And you were a part of that process then once you got
Well, as far as
involved, or-
brainstorming, but not, you know, talking, but not as far as, you know, putting it into the whatever, if there is, you know, anything written. Well, you know, just the brainstorming part.
Yeah, it took us a number of years, actually, to begin to get it into a format.
Yeah, because this was
'cause
really
we did
just
eventually-
notes and, you know, putting some sort of order, but.
Right, what
Yeah.
things needed to change to make it work.
Right, and that's what it was.
What it had been, which is probably a part of how you got your background in it, was just us talking about
Definitely,
what had come before.
Definitely, because I really didn't know anything other than who was living there at the time. And, you know, if we want it to build or be better or change or whatever, we have to have some sort of format to do it. You know? I think that's what it was. But we took notes.
We definitely want to change.
Yeah, it was all about changing for the better. I mean, it was obvious.
Right.
Yeah.
You brought Lucas with you at that time.
Yeah,
Did he ever make comments about the Peace Camp?
that he loved it. Oh, yeah, he loved it. And he said hi, by the way.
Oh,
I
cool.
can't wait to see you. Yeah. No, just no. When are we going to see him again? When are we going again? Yeah. Yeah.
And did you then come out to the camp a number of times? Do you remember how?
Oh, it wasn't a huge amount of times. It's probably 5 maybe.
Really?
If that many. I don't even think it was that many. I don't think it was a lot. But okay, so how long did I stay is the question. Because it was at weekends time, I think.
Uh-huh.
But I don't see as if I was there physically a lot. But it's not that you see, and this is where it gets a little wishy-washy, because it's not like you didn't go out to the cabins before you
Right.
lived there
Uh-huh.
and sit around bonfires, and we still talked about it, but I wasn't up there,
Uh-huh. Right.
that,
So it's been a big part of our little community.
It has been, Our little community knows exactly what the Women's Peace Camp is, I've been there, and yeah.
So if you had been to the camp 5 times, what would have been the spectrum in terms of space of time of years that took place in?
Probably, let's see. Even the last time I went, Anne was still there, it was probably only a couple of years, I would say. I can't even tell you now, really.
Yeah, no, it's hard. But so like 89 to 91, are we talking? Are we talking 92 to 94?
We're talking 93, right? 15 years ago? Oh, did you just already do the math?
No, I obviously did not. It's a good thing. We're not relying on me.
Right, 'cause
I'm trying to place Kiara there, and that was the fall of 92.
Yeah. And
It was
that's
right
when-
in there. It was like
that's when it
93,
was. It
actually.
was like
During
92
that time.
Yeah.
to 93,
Yeah.
94, because I moved out to the cabin in 96.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Lucas was like 7 or 8, right in there.
Right,
So-
and by the time I moved out to the cabin is probably the last time.
I'm pretty
you
sure
were
that
at
was the
camp.
case. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no other reason to go out there at that point, because we all weren't.
Now
we were
the same.
around a bonfire doing the same thing, but still working on the same.
Ideas,
Yeah.
the same
Uh-huh.
concepts of wanting
Mhm. Yeah,
peace and
Yeah.
community and
Yeah.
sustainability.
yeah,
and-
definitely.
Did you know anything about this idea of zapping that was supposedly happening?
Only, yeah, I did hear about it. Yeah, that's all. really.
And was it something?
Although then I keep thinking like if I heard about it before the stories, because I do, as I think about it, I remember things being said at home and what it went out. Now I want to look up newspaper clippings just to remember what I heard, because that newspaper my parents get, if it's anywhere in the news. So I'm curious too, I don't mean to make it up, what did I actually remember then? But I heard it there at the Peace Camp. So, but as I think about it, and whether I said it then, I'm sure I had already heard about it.
And was it something to have a son, to bring a son out there, that you were concerned that there was any of that still going on, or it wasn't something that you thought would affect you?
I didn't really think there was any, I couldn't even conceive that they could be able to still, I couldn't believe that they were going to even continue. It's not even in my concept that somebody can do that. Somebody says something, does something about it. No, you just are supposed to stop this. It's not I couldn't even believe that they would not have already done that. So, yeah,
So you were
they were
concerned
gone.
that- yeah.
I was concerned, but, and you don't hear it, you know?
I think we may actually have talked about, we didn't think it was happening anymore.
Yeah,
That
we did
only-
talk about that.
Only
Yeah.
the few of us, and that was,
And I was certainly very hopeful, like I said, you know, you can't just do that and, you know, so obviously and blatantly wrong. It's got to be, that it can't be going on anymore. But, yeah, I had heard all, yeah.
So did your family know that you were visiting the peace camp, and did they have any opinion about that?
They did, no, and they didn't have an opinion. But they were, you know, when they responded, it was positive. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can only go along a fence and see so many white deer without saying, something's wrong in there. What are they building in there?
So people in the community, the white deer made them...
Well, that, and it's, you know, just what, it's different. Maybe it's just that, it was just different. And what are they doing in there?
And do you remember when you were younger thinking that there might be nuclear weapons at that base?
Not really. No, it wasn't a concept for me yet.
And you didn't hear your family talk about it, or neighbors? It wasn't something you thought was that?
No, it was more like, I do, but only because of the trucks going by to get there. I didn't think about it as, I had no concept, you know, of what really was in there other than Army trucks. A lot of them go by, you know, it's more that, really, what is that? I'm sure my parents knew, but why? I wouldn't tell me. I don't know, you know, that's a hard thing. You know, nowadays I probably would share it with a 13-year-old, but, you know, in a rural community, it's not very, you know, good. It's already tough there, you know. But,
And when you say trucks going by where you could see them?
well, you always knew it. I mean, at some point, you know, we're right in, there's a line right there. They go right up the highway, so wherever you're going, you'll see at some point you saw them, definitely. I mean, you could even see the highway from my house, but it's not like you looked for that. But there they are again.
And did you know any neighbors or family members that have worked in or around the base?
No. Mm-mm. No. You know, like I said, though, my aunt and uncle lived up, but not, you know, what's near the base, you know, but that's still closer than we lived, and I feel I'm near the base, you know. But, yeah, it's all, you were all affected. You all lived close to it. Yeah.
but it hadn't been something that was in the papers or talked about much.
Yeah. What?
Had it been in the papers or talked about much.
I remember it being there. How much is much, I don't really remember. But I really now really want to look. Really, I do. Yeah.
The some of the relationships that you formed there continued for quite a while, or
Oh, yes, still do, though. Well, they all do to some degree. But yeah. I feel actually that I don't have a lot of friends, but they are mine. Those few. Yeah, definitely.
Can you talk about anything that you might have gotten out of that time that maybe still influences you today, or that got projected from that kind of community or participation with
Yeah,
that community?
really playing music. It's such an amazing appreciation to know that a bunch of people can get together and play beautiful music. That was really impressive for me, actually. So I'll have to say a lot about the music, but also a lot about, I can do it. as a woman, I can still do it. Doesn't matter that I'm a woman, but I am a woman, and that was a big, impressive thing for me too. Look at they're doing it.
Doing what?
Well, making something happen. You can do it. It doesn't matter that you're a woman. Anybody can. But it just so happens we were women. Okay, we can. You can rebuild it. You can. Support. Yeah.
And when you
That was
were-
pretty impressive. No.
When you were talking about sitting around fire circles and planning and talking about these things, did you ever have an opportunity then after being around the encampment and then more around the cabins of living together with a group of women and making something happen together?
No.
What happened to that dream?
Well, they all, sure. I've lived with women, one and my 2 sons. So sure, I'm saying, yes, for years, but how long do you mean? But yeah, you make it happen for as long as you can, but they're short periods of time. But yeah. But I still have the dream, really. So.
Right. The idea of setting up like safe spaces for ourselves and of developing homes that we could create with our finances.
Yeah.
We talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
And then you really took it
Yeah.
and worked with it when you got the
I
bond
know.
situation.
That was tough. You never really realize how many legal barriers you have to do something like even the peace camp, and to live in a barn. You think it sounds simple, but legally it's a total battle.
You put a tremendous amount of work into
When
that.
you can do it physically, which I feel that way about the peace camp. Physically, anybody, and we all could get together and get whatever needs to be done there. Sometimes it's just a darn legal battle to get, how many people can live in the building? Or whatever. But you can't have an outhouse, whatever it is, So those are the struggles that I can't get over. Singly, as a person, I can't change the rules. But hey, we're working on that too.
I remember, getting heat for the barn, right?
Yeah.
And how hard
Yeah.
you had worked, and finally
Yeah.
there was a stove, and there was enough piping, and it
Yeah.
got piped
Yeah.
out. And then did
Yeah.
somebody come in and say,
Yeah, the Child
"You have to
Protective
have-"
Services actually came in to take Lucas away because I put a wood stove in the barn, and that was unsafe. We couldn't have a child living in a barn with a
In a wooden
stove.
structure with
a wood stove.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
the wood stove.
Yeah. So that was the end of that.
Were you ever back to the peace camp together or the land to do any
Mhm.
work out there? You never,
I don't
after
think so.
96, you were never back there?
Probably not. I went back out to do stuff, but, well, that was when you were going through kind of a hard time
Yeah.
around the barn, I
Yeah.
think.
Mhm.
Did you have any more you wanted to talk about, particular camp? Do you have any little
Things you thought of
moments?
2 weeks ago that you...
That I'd now say I don't
Yeah.
have to say that. Yeah, I do. May as well say it.
Yeah.
I actually felt uncomfortable, not so much about the zapping, but because the part of the controversy about living, who was going to live there, was not going to have any male babies. You can't have male kids. So I felt I have 2 boys, so I felt pretty upset about that. But
So that was in the process of deciding what to do?
it was
That
said.
what women
It was
came up
said.
with?
I'm not sure whether it was something people were saying that's ridiculous. Well, I think we all said it was ridiculous, but how would you feel about it? I have 2 boys.
And did you speak to that at the time?
I I think we had talked about it. Well, I mean, you were upset about it.
Yeah, I don't remember a conversation specifically.
Mhm. Other than,
about it.
yeah, other than there, you know, I think it was a whole list of things that was on it. Not like I didn't pick it out, though.
And did that make a difference in how you, whether or not you wanted to be there in the future?
No, I didn't think that would stick. Really.
Just the idea that it happened, you just didn't like.
Yeah, right. And there I am with two young boys, and, you know.